going on, guys? So this week's episode of The Flash was Untouchable. See what I did there? Because the villain was... Okay, whatever. Anyways, guys, so what did you think of this week's episode of The Flash? I thought it was a pretty good episode. I always am always interested with villains and stuff that have the touch of death because, you know, you can't touch them, so you gotta beat them a certain way. And this week's episode was pretty badass. Favorite part was easily when Barry phases a whole damn train through rubble. Like, I didn't even know the dude could do that. Like, how powerful can Barry get with phasing? Like, could he phase the world through another world? Like, how powerful is this motherfucker? Besides that, this episode had a bunch of other cool stuff in it. We got to see Wally and Barry race, which was pretty cool, and freaking Barry only beat him because Wally doesn't know how to phase, so I'm pretty sure if they race again, Wally might beat him. I don't know. But Wally hasn't technically went Mach 3 yet, so I guess if Barry wanted to, he could really smoke Wally. He was just kind of giving him a chance. But he beat him by phasing, and he was all like, "What's my name, bitch?" And throughout the rest of the episode, we see Wally running into walls, trying to learn how to phase. And then, you know, Barry's like, "You're not doing it right." And then he realized that he's a really shitty teacher. And he's all like, "From now on, I'm going to teach you better. I'm going to show you how to do this. And I had great teachers, and you don't have a great teacher, so I got to be a better teacher," and shit like that. When you really think about it, Speedsters are just like Super Saiyans. Because if you ever watch Dragon Ball Z, you know that they always go Super Saiyan, or they go the next level when something tragic happens, or when they really got to save somebody's life. Because he's all like, "You got to do it, man. You just saw me freaking phase a whole train through brick. You got to phase your arm through that guy's body and put your blood in him and shit." And like, that's kind of disgusting because that causes diseases and shit, but whatever, your blood's special apparently. We see Wally actually do what he needs to do when it's his time of need, man, because he just went freaking Super Saiyan Speedster style. What would have been interesting and just like a big what the fuck moment is if he would have freaking went and was all gonna Speedster through him, and then he just disintegrated because that guy was all like, "Bitch, you think you were gonna touch me?" That would be legit. That would never happen on the CW, but like, I feel like if superhero shows were on like HBO and stuff like that, those kind of moments would happen because those places don't give a fuck, and they're just like, "What?" And they like to hit you with those Mitch moments. Another thing we saw in this episode was the start of a relationship between Malfoy and freaking Caitlyn, and this just freaking hurts my heart, okay? Like, come on. Caitlyn and Malfoy and Caitlyn, are you kidding me? And Caitlyn is constantly falling for dudes that are just gonna die or leave this show. What if Malfoy and freaking Caitlyn start going, you know, getting all close and shit like that, and then he dies somehow, and that freaking makes her go super frost, and she's like, "Ah!" And she turns into Killer Frost because another person she fell for has died. And she's all like, "Bitch, I'm gonna kill you." And she kills whoever freaking kills Malfoy. That's something that could happen. And that takes her on her freaking, you know, quest of being Killer Frost. In this episode, though, you got to see freaking Malfoy being his normal jerk self and telling Caitlyn, like, if I do this by myself, I can work better and blah, blah, blah. And she could see her getting annoyed with it and being like, "Now I know what Barry meant when he was working with you." Blah, 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 blah. But then he realized that he was the one that created this death-touching meta. And is it, did we get a name for this meta? I don't ever remember hearing a name for this guy. Did they just call him by his actual name? Or did he have a supervillain name? I don't remember hearing that. Anyways, Malfoy gets all sad and he's like, "I gotta go freaking find this because, you know, I was the one that created this." And then, of course, Caitlyn was trying to calm him down. And then freaking Iris gets touched by this guy with the touch of death because Wally wasn't fast enough. What happened, Wally? You talking all this shit, you being a big playboy, but you ain't fast enough, bro. Caitlyn has to end up using her Killer Frost powers to save Iris. How that doesn't destroy her arm, I don't know. I don't know science. Speaking of Iris, she pointed out to Barry that, "Look, hey, I need to show you something," when that first guy died at Luigi's restaurant. And she showed Barry that, look, another one of the headlines has come true, and they didn't change this one. So she's kind of like freaking out. She's like, "Oh my god." Oh, well, technically, they haven't changed it yet. Because she was talking about how the owner of Luigi's restaurant said that something like this is more than likely going to ruin their business. So I'm assuming over the next few episodes, they're going to try to have like a fundraiser or something for Luigi's restaurant to try to reopen it somehow because they want to change that timeline. Cancel that idea because technically, wouldn't the group want Luigi's place to stay closed? Because the headline was Luigi's restaurant reopens after murder or whatever. So you'd want it to stay closed, right? The freaking Barry should just set it on fire and blow it up and never let that place come back. because that would definitely change the timeline because it would never be able to reopen. But I don't know. So that is really interesting at why she was like, the headlines, you know, it's coming true or whatever. So I wonder how they're going to change that timeline, because you wouldn't want it to reopen at all. Now, of course, in this episode, we had the whole Iris situation going on, we had the whole Caitlin Malfoy situation going on, and we had the whole Wally situation going on. But the underlined, like, purpose of this episode was a Joe episode. If you didn't really think about it, it involved Joe a lot in this episode, because he was meeting, you know, his chick's daughter for the first time, and they wanted to get along. Iris ends up telling him that she's gonna die in a few months. And then, you know, he makes a commitment to that girl to see her later on. And he freaking, you know, there's just all this stuff. Joe was being sought out to be killed by the villain in this episode. Like, this was a Joe episode more than it was anything else, if you didn't really see that. But in this particular episode, we saw the villain going after Flashpoint cops. And it was so funny, because as I was watching this episode, I was all like, why the hell would this guy be going after Joe? Like, he wasn't even in Flashpoint. But I got Flashpoint confused with Earth 2. When freaking Joe was a singer on Earth 2, I was like, he was a singer in Flashpoint. Like, it's already been that long that I'm like already merging freaking Earths and storylines together. But I forgot in Flashpoint, Joe was like a drunk cop in Flashpoint, if I remember correctly. Apparently, you know, he freaking was a part of the group of that one chick that was like, hey, look at who we got today, and all that kind of shit. She was kind of a bitch. Like, she should have died. With Joe meeting his chica's freaking daughter, and she just mentioned how she loves Kid Flash, we found out that Kid Flash, he's got a whole bunch of groupies. Like, he's like all up in it. Like, he is the rock star of the Flash. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, yeah, what's up, bitch? Like, he's basically being Iron Man right now. And, you know, just being like, you know, without revealing his identity, but he's living it up. He's all like, what's up, girls? What's up, girls? Let's pose. Snapchat? What? Let's do this? You got a dog filter? Put it on my face. In all seriousness, I want to know if you guys caught on to this during this episode, because it's something that I was like, why do they keep, you know, they kind of keep pushing that for some reason, but like kind of in a subtle way. They were kind of trying to make Joe choose between Barry and Wally speedster-wise. And he kept saying, he was like, I can't do that. It happened when they were placing their bets on the race, and it happened when, you know, the daughter of his chica was all like, yeah, so if you had to choose, who would it be? And even Wally was like, yeah, but if you had to pick one, Dad, like, who would you pick? And he's like, go give me some more milk. Which makes me think that Joe might actually have to choose one of them in the future, possibly in a dire situation. Like, what if both of their lives depend on it, but Joe can only save one of them? That's going to be a really interesting thing that he's going to do, because who's he going to pick? Because if he doesn't pick either one of them, it's going to cause, like, a rip in their relationship. You know, Wally is his biological son. He raised Barry from when he was a really little kid. Like, it would be a huge dilemma and choice, and probably something really cool to see on this show, because it's like, who would Joe pick between both of the boys? I mean, would he pick Barry because he's known him so much longer, but he doesn't, he wants to make up for all the time he didn't get to spend with Wally, so it's like, I wonder what's going to happen. They did really, like, push that in this episode, so I'm kind of wondering if in the future we're going to see Joe have to pick between either Wally or the Flash. Barry. And of course, this episode ended with an appearance by Jesse Quick. And you thought she was gonna come in. Wally did. She comes in through a portal and he's like, hey, Jesse, because he's gonna be like, you know, because she probably doesn't know that he's been all like, what's up, ladies? What's up, ladies? Boy, you gonna get your ass kicked when Jesse finds out. But instead of having a good time like Wally thought he was gonna have, Jesse's all like, no, shut the fuck up. Freaking Gorilla Grodd has my dad. Dun dun dun! That sets up for the next episode that we're gonna have to wait 2 weeks to see. Yeah, that's right, because there's no Flash next week because of Valentine's Day. Fuck you, Valentine's Day. Either way, I cannot wait for that episode, because Gorilla Grodd is one of the people I've been wanting to see on this damn show, but of course he's like CGI, and you're not able to do this too much, so we'll go ahead and just have CGI speedsters. Tired of your freaking speedster villains, Flash. I'm tired of it. Gorilla City in 2 weeks is gonna be pretty badass. And like I said, I've talked about some photos from that episode, and there are a lot of other photos out there online of freaking Malfoy and Caitlin all holding hands, and they're in their safari suits or whatever, and all of that shit, because that relationship is totally going to happen, and she's going to get her heart broken, and I think she's going to turn into Super Killer Frost. Besides all that, what did you guys think of this episode? Did you like it? Do you think that Joe is going to have to pick between Barry and Wally eventually? And, you know, what other things should we talk about? Let me know in the comment sections down below. Guys and gals, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with all your Flash buddies. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for all things nerdy and geeky on this channel. As always, I am your host, JUICEbox. Remember, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself something. Have I made a daily dose of juice? See you guys next time. Bam!